Saturday Coast Magazine with Brenton and Shiona on 88.7 Adelaide's Coast FM.
And of course, that little promo all means we've got an interview coming up. And I'm very happy to welcome back into the studio Dr. David Panter, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Minda Incorporated. We spoke to David back in April. He was fairly new at the job, and he's been there a little bit longer now. Good morning, David. Welcome to Coast FM. Yes.
Good morning. Thank you. Very nice to be here.
It's lovely to have someone in the studio. It's always nice to have a face, and it's really good. We're all... anyone who's been attached to Minda or known anything about Minda would be very proud of what it's achieved. 125 years it's been going. Now, I don't expect you to know all the changes in that 125 years. You're not nearly that old. But the achievements that have happened since the very humble beginnings of Minda into the organisation it is now are truly remarkable.
Yes, I mean, we're very proud of that 125-year history. A lot has happened over those 125 years, including the way in which society, community generally think about people living with intellectual disability.
The acceptance.
Absolutely. And so when we look back at those 125 years, some of the language from 125 years ago isn't what we would accept today. Minda was actually established using the language of the day to support and care for the feeble-minded. And we came about because some of the great and good families at the time in Adelaide, people like the Benaithans, etc., were clearly concerned that children with intellectual disability weren't getting appropriate support. They managed to get the government of the day to put in £500, as it was then, if that could be matched from the community raising funds. And so the Advertiser that was around at the time still, and another newspaper, the Chronicle, led a big fundraising campaign to raise that other £500. And that enabled us to start life as a 22-bedded facility in Fullerton. And it wasn't until 1911 that we then moved to our main site today, which is on in Brighton.
A beautiful spot, Brighton.
Yeah.
You know, I can remember Kim Benaithan was a very powerful person back in those. I mean, that's my era, not 1911, but I can remember I grew up in Glenelg and used to go to the matinees, the pictures on a Saturday afternoon, and the children from Minda used to come to the pictures.
Right, yeah.
And some of my fondest memories, because they were so friendly and they spoke to everyone, you know, and I can remember very clearly they used to come, you know, a whole, like maybe 30 of them used to come together on a Saturday afternoon to go to the matinee, and they were lovely children. And then I went to Brighton High, which of course was next door to Minda, and they used to talk to us too, and we'd be going down the avenue to the school. Wonderful, friendly children. You were appointed in 2022 with an amazing CV of being involved in similar industries. I liked it on one of them. I read that, you know, in your 42 years of working or something, half of that time you'd spent as a CEO. That's a pretty remarkable achievement. Has things changed in that just 1-2 years since you've been there?
Yes, we've made significant steps forward in making sure that Minda is providing support which is consistent with what people expect today, given those changing attitudes around people with intellectual disability, and given the way in which the NDIS system works, because that very much focuses on individuals' human rights and puts them in control of the support and services that they're being provided with. And so we've done a lot of work through what's called co-design, sort of sitting down with our clients, people living with intellectual disability, their families and our staff, and thinking about, for example, if we're providing that person with a home, with a house and support 24/7, how do we try and make sure that it does feel like their home as opposed to a house?
Of course, that's right.
Because that's what it's about. It's about trying to enable people to have their best lives. And so we want them to be in control of their houses. So For example, we now have a system so that it's the individual who lives in the house, and they may live with 2 or 3 other people, so they've got housemates. We work with them on helping them decide what the rules of the house are. And often that might be that staff who are supporting them only use the back door, because the front door is for guests and visitors. And that's entirely reasonable.
It is.
And that's how we should be responding. And so we've put in place a lot of those sorts of changes. And that's meant that certainly throughout this year, we've begun to get new, younger people living with intellectual disability coming and deciding to use our services and want to move into some of the houses that we have and seek our support. And that's great. That's what we should be doing.
You're empowering them, aren't you, to lead a life. I think, many, many years ago, if you had a child with that disability, the parents always worried how the child would manage if something happened to them.
Yes.
Where would they live? Because, they used to go to Minda for classes, but they'd come home. Having them in their own property must be wonderful for the parents to see them grow in that community.
No, that's right. that's a common theme of the discussions that I have with families, is that issue about, what happens for parents when they go, when they're not around anymore.
It's a scary thought,
and particularly if they don't have other children, because often it falls to a sibling. So absolutely, trying to provide that assurance and comfort. But as I say, the main focus has been how do we ensure that those people we're supporting are empowered. So again, just to give you a couple of illustrations, those people are very much involved in selecting the staff that support them. So we don't just allocate staff.
No, it is.
We involve the people who are going to be supported, the people living with intellectual disability, say in a house. They will be part of the interview process to determine which staff are going to work with them.
You're including them from the very basis.
So that they've got some control of that process. And if we might have a 3-bedroom property and somebody leaves for some reason, again, the remaining housemates are critical in the process of deciding who moves in as a housemate into that 3rd bedroom. So it's very much, as you say, it's about empowering and ensuring that people are in control, because we know that that's one of the things that helps them have a good life, feel good about themselves, have good mental health, and that's what's really important to us.
Very important to have that harmony in the home, because if they, were out in the world on their own, they would choose the people, so they have to feel the same. It's I just picked up quickly, and there are just a couple of little points before we get on to our main point today. Your rapid swim program, now that's really moving out of your, I guess, not your core practice, but it's certainly elaborating on that, and it's been recognised very much by awards in the last choosing by the Life Saving South Australian Aquatic Recreation Conference and Awards as Recreation Program of the Year. That is a wonderful achievement.
It is. It's very good. And again, I just need to absolutely acknowledge that this is a program that we took on from an organisation called Active Inclusion, who were finding it very difficult to work within the environment of NDIS. And working with them, we were very keen to ensure this particular program survived. And so it moved into our responsibility. And essentially, it's providing structured swimming lessons to people with intellectual and other disabilities. We provide it out of a variety of pools across metropolitan Adelaide. And again, it's enabling people to develop that skill around swimming, feel safe and confident in the water,
of course,
which again helps expand their life opportunities.
I bet they love it. I bet
it's a very
they love
popular
it.
program.
Yes. Now, the other thing we're doing, you've brought something back this year, which because of COVID, we haven't had. That's your Christmas.
Absolutely.
Christmas carols on the 2nd of December. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes, so 2nd of December, the Saturday, from 2 in the afternoon till 7 in the evening. It is bringing back that carol concert activity that we've undertaken historically, that we did have to close down during COVID. We did a smaller event last year, but very much for our clients. not an open public event. This is an open public event, and we've got a whole range of activities, including a community market, thinking about Christmas and Christmas presents. So it's really good.
Definitely.
And many of the stalls at the market are from businesses that provide employment for people living with intellectual disability. We'll have a whole range of different other activities going on. There'll be food trucks, and of course the carol concert itself, and a raffle. And again, just give a shout out to some of those who've already donated amazing prizes for the raffle, from Minato Safari Park, the State Theatre Company, Sky City, Bickford's, Maggie Beer. So great businesses and organisations who are prepared to support us and work with us.
And if you're into the music side, I mean, the 27th Battalion Royal SA Regiment Band, that's worth coming along just to hear. Another one that's great is the Tutti Choir. That everybody loves listening to them or watching them. And as well as that. So that sounds wonderful. Lots of food. There's always lots of food, isn't there? Pizzas, pancakes, sweet and sour candy, Vietnamese, Londoner. How can you go wrong?
Absolutely. It'll be a great afternoon.
I don't know how you can do all that in just 5 hours. That's really a whole day thing. So that's on December the 2nd. There is a gold coin donation, and there is on-site parking for a small charge, or free parking in the surrounding streets. So it's really definitely put that in your diary. Saturday the 2nd of December, you're expecting more than 3,000, which is quite easy to achieve for something like this. And they're just going to have a wonderful, and a visit from Santa and Mrs. Claus. He's bringing her along this year, is he?
That's right, yes.
Yes, bringing the wife along.
Needs some help because there's so many people there. So.
And tied in with that, of course, you have your wishing tree, which is a lovely community project. Perhaps you'd like to tell us how that wishing tree works.
Well, I mean, it is about ensuring that, one of the things which is very challenging for an organisation like Minda, is to acknowledge the fact that, around about 35% of the people we provide services to have no family. They are all under the public advocate. And so we want to make sure that they have as good a time at things like Christmas as anybody else.
Of course.
But without that family, then they don't necessarily have the gifts, they don't have the well-being, etc. So the wishing tree is a way of enabling them, as well as others, to get more engaged and involved and really enjoy the Christmas period.
And is there any criteria for the gifts? Are they for any age group, any gender?
Any age group, any gender, yes. So this is something which many of our staff participate in, because they want to donate a gift as part of the Christmas wishing tree, and it's just a way of us making sure that those people who don't have family, who won't get a great deal of gifts on Christmas Day,
will have something.
Have something.
Yeah. So you can call into Minda, the Ink Cafe at Minda, and get gift tags with the age of the person and gift suggestions from mid-November. So that's now.
That's right. Yep.
Yep. Any purchase, it doesn't have to be a big thing. Something small, something sentimental, something pretty, is lovely. The gift is then placed under the wishing tree and given out on Christmas morning, spreading joy among our wonderful clients. We are so lucky, most of us. I mean, I know there's a lot of us who aren't, but those of us who are so lucky and looking at putting more than one present under the Christmas tree, have a think to give one present to someone who hasn't, because that's truly a wonderful thing. You have a wonderful staff. You have to really say thank you. Your staff seem to be so committed and caring, and it would be hard to run an organisation like this without people like that.
No, absolutely. No, I mean, we pride ourselves on the fact that people do want to come and work for us. It's one of those, when I compare how we fare on that element with other providers nationally and across the state, we often look at agency staff. So how many staff do you need to bring in from an agency to cover gaps in your rosters? and the industry average in disability is around about 15% of your service might be provided at any one time by agency. Ours is 1.5%.
Wow, yeah.
And that demonstrates that
They're
we
happy.
have lots of committed staff. When we have jobs available, as we often do, we get lots of people who want to put their hand up and want to apply for those positions.
Yeah.
So I'm really grateful that we've got a great workforce
What better
who
reference?
are dedicated. Yeah.
Well, we don't have time today, unfortunately, but I would like to get you back, David, to talk about your plans. On the website, they talk about the 2025 business plan, I guess you can call it. It'd be lovely to get your views on what's happening with that. I want to say a special thank you to Natalie. I told Natalie I'd say hello to her because she's the PR lady who does all this organising, and she's so nice about it. She's lovely. So thank you so much for coming in. I wish you a very happy Christmas. I'm sure you'll have a lovely Christmas, and I hope your programs, and we might even come down and see you on December the 2nd. I'd love to hear the bands again and have a wander around because it is a beautiful spot.
Yeah.
It really is. So thank you for your commitment. Thank you to your staff for your commitment to these people that are not forgotten anymore.
Yeah.
They're part of the community and they're empowered, and that's the lovely part, that they're just a part of the community now. They're not forgotten and left, and that's great for them. So thank you for that, and I hope we can have you back maybe after Christmas and talk about what's happening in the next couple of years at Minda.
Absolutely, more than happy to do that, and best wishes to yourselves and all your listeners.
Thank you very much. I've been talking to David Panter, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Minda, wonderful organisation that we're very proud of in Adelaide.
Grab a snack and you're giving something back. Today, head to Bunnings at Mile End, and for $3.50 you get